Nobody gets promoted by God the way they expect. Not once. Not in the whole Bible. Every person he raised up walked through the same five-part process first, and most of them thought it meant they'd been forgotten. If you're in a season that feels like nothing is happening, stay with me, because you might be closer to the door than you realize. You keep waiting for a sign that things are turning around. Instead, it feels like everything is getting harder. Doors are closing instead of opening. If that's you right now, I need you to hear something before we go any further. Hard doesn't mean forgotten. Hard is often the process itself. Here's the pattern, laid out plainly so you can find where you are in it. First, God gives you a glimpse before he gives you access. Long before the promotion, there's usually a nudge, a dream, a pull towards something bigger, a gift that feels ahead of your current situation. That glimpse isn't the arrival. It's an anchor for later when nothing around you matches what you were shown. Second, he removes what you were leaning on instead of him. This is the part that feels like loss, not preparation. A job ends, a plan falls apart, a relationship you were hiding your identity and disappears. It isn't punishment, it's subtraction, clearing space for something that can only be built on him. Third, he tests you when nobody's watching. Not the public wins, the private ones. How you treat people who can't help your career. What you do with a moment of temptation when no one would ever find out. This is where character gets built quietly, long before anyone hands you a platform. Fourth, he lets you be forgotten or let down by someone you were counting on. This one stings the most because it isn't circumstance. It's a person. Someone who should have helped you didn't. And it's tempting to let that turn into bitterness. But bitterness is a locked door, and you're the one holding the key. What feels like abandonment often becomes the very thing that positions you for something you couldn't have arranged yourself. Fifth, right before the door opens, one last test arrives, and it looks exactly like defeat. Not almost like it. Exactly like it. This is where most people quit because it seems like proof that the whole thing was wishful thinking. But this is the final filter, not the final answer. Think about what's common to every name you already know from Scripture. A boy sold by his own brothers who ends up governing the nation that enslaved him. A shepherd anointed as king who spends years running for his life in caves before he sits on a throne. A man raised in a palace who spends decades in obscurity tending sheep before he leads a nation out of slavery. None of them got there on the fast track. Stop asking God to skip the step you're in. Ask him what he's building in it. If you're in the stripping season, stop white-knuckling the thing he's removing. It's making room. If you're in the private faithfulness season, keep showing up with integrity even though no one's clapping. That's the foundation, not a delay. If you're carrying a wound from someone who let you down, consider laying it down. Not because they earned it, but because you're not meant to carry it into what's next. And if you're staring at something that looks like a closed door right now, don't confuse a final test with a final answer. None of this guarantees your promotion looks like what you pictured. Some people get a kingdom. Some get the quieter assignment of staying faithful in obscurity and never being fully recognized this side of eternity. Both are elevation in God's math. What he's actually after isn't your comfort. It's your readiness. A person strong enough, humble enough, and surrendered enough to carry whatever comes next without it crushing them or corrupting them. So look honestly at where you are today, not where you wish you were, where you actually are. That's not a sign you've been passed over. It might be the clearest sign that you're exactly on schedule. If you recognize which step you're in right now, comment the number below. And if someone you know needs to hear this today, send it to them. It might be the thing that keeps them from quitting too early.